Welcome to episode 3 of Meet Me at Brunch. Today is one of our marketing deep dive chats, and we'll be talking about getting found online and how to build and ensure you have a winery website that truly sells. I am Kate Burley, CMO here at Brunch Agency.
My name is Laura. I'm an e-commerce project manager for Brunch.
I'm Kip, co-founder and head of e-commerce.
Today we'll kick things off with our mystery wine, which the guys will be tasting throughout the episode and trying to guess what it is, and then we'll wrap up with a big reveal at the end. Now, if you can't tell by the accent already, I'm a Kiwi. I'm based in our little New Zealand office here in Nelson at the top of the South Island. We won't be tasting the wine today. However, our producer has let me know what it is. So we'll see how Laura and Kip go with guessing correctly and if I can help lead them to the right answer or not.
Smells like a Shiraz.
I think it's either a Shiraz or a blend of Shiraz.
Okay.
It's a bit more bold than a Shiraz.
No clues.
It's a blend, definitely.
Yeah.
I may be completely wrong.
We've actually got two people who are not experts at wine doing the wine tasting.
Any notes you're getting so far on the nose or in those first initial sips?
I'm getting some black fruits in there, savoury notes, a bit of pepper.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I'm still going with Shiraz or a blend. I've just got to figure out the region. And it's not Hunter.
I don't think it's a Hunter.
I think it might be South Australian.
McLaren?
I don't want to make my guess just yet.
McLaren Shiraz. Are we on the right path?
I will say you're on the right path. So what we're talking about today is getting found online, how to build a winery website that sells, what makes a great website, and what can wineries do to maximize those sales opportunities.
I think there's just been a big shift in winery websites, especially since the COVID years. Wineries have had to find that ability to sell their wine directly, and the websites have come a long way, especially in the last 3 or 4 years. A big one for me, and it's not just wine, it's across all industries, is the use of that first fold of the website. I can't remember the exact stat, but 70% of your customers are only going to look at that first fold of the website. For me, navigation is pretty much one of the biggest things. So making sure you've got a very concise navigation, no more than 7 sub-menus within that main menu. Ideally, you want the customer to find exactly what they're looking for without having to scroll down. And you can still tell the story of the winery throughout that homepage, but ideally you want them to find exactly the wine that they're looking for, or the ability to book a tasting, or whatever your main objectives are. Yeah, I do see a lot of websites, not just wine, almost wasting that top part of the fold. They might have an amazing video, but if there's no clear call to action, or there's no ability to then navigate through to the wine or the bookings, then they're missing out on that first 3 seconds of a visitor's experience.
The aim for us is reducing steps to purchase in general by having a really streamlined menu and making sure that whoever wants to purchase wine can do so in 3 or less steps. So it's really important to have a website that supports that user journey in the least steps possible. And that's one of the reasons why we really like working with Shopify, because they have that Shop Pay payments option available, which means that if you've ever bought on a Shopify site previously, it might be shoes, might be clothes, or anything else, Shopify can save those details, which means that as soon as you add your wine to the basket, it already has your name, address, credit card details. It's all in there. So you can just basically click on add to cart and purchase, and that's done. Your purchase has been going through.
And I think one of the key things as well is your website's your digital cellar door. You need to make sure that that website is that first impression, as you guys are talking about, and then understanding you're getting that key information right up front so that they instantly understand your brand, who you are, and what steps they then need to take for their purchase intent that we're looking for.
I also like to think about the shop page as a bit of a menu by making sure that you are using the right filters on your wine. If you just have a hover on that menu, you can pretty much see the cellar door menu as you would see it if you visited the physical location. You can see all the white varietals, the red varietals, and someone who is new to your brand might just get a really good understanding of what you offer by just going on that menu.
Another big thing is obviously mobile friendly design. We are seeing that people will make changes or look at their website on a desktop. Everything's looking fantastic. They're happy with it, but they're not then checking what that mobile experience is for visitors. As we know, that's when a lot of them will be looking at their phones and trying to make that next step or understand your brand, ideally looking to buy as well.
And the way that I design as well is I will design just mobile first. So I'll sort of ignore desktop for the time being and make sure that it's rendering and optimized, and then desktop can come second. One of the big things when building a website is having that in the back of your mind, making sure those mobile devices are fully optimized and looking nice is first port of call.
Talk us through wanting a consumer to reach the website and then ideally hit the checkout in those first couple of steps.
When I'm designing, I'm thinking of the 3 main pages in an order of importance. So the most important, depending on your objective, but if it's selling wine, is your product page. So ensuring your product page has nice imagery, it's got really good descriptions, it's easy to navigate is the most important thing that I look for, because once they've got to that page, that's a very warm sale about to happen. And then obviously the homepage, you get a lot of your organic traffic, so your SEO traffic coming through to your homepage, making sure that top part of your screen, the above the fold, is completely void of any sort of distraction or friction, because you want those customers to find it exactly what they're looking for. As Laura mentions as well, is that shopping page, ensuring that your filtering is there. You can filter by variety, by region if you've got multiple regions, so you can give that customer the ability to get 1, 2, 3 clicks into the product they need to, and then go directly into the checkout process.
I know we focus here on selling wine, but some website will also have a strong emphasis on cellar door visitation, which is also another action that can perform on the winery sites. And obviously everything that we've mentioned just previously about making sure that the information is clear and that you can perform the action in just a few clicks is also valid for cellar door booking. So whenever we set up a cellar door page, we want to make sure that this one is quite image heavy, not too heavy, but just making sure that if someone has never come to your website beforehand, they get a feel of that cellar door experience, and also making sure that there are booking CTAs throughout the page. We also like to use very strong booking systems, which means that someone can book directly through your website without having to pick up the phone, because we know young people, they do hate having to pick up the phone to make a booking. So yeah, we just like to make sure that that booking experience can be done in a few clicks as well.
The about section is where you can have a little bit more fun. You've got the ability to really tell the story there. You're not really trying to push them through to a conversion or a booking. You can have call to actions throughout that page, but this is pretty much a blank canvas where you can add a lot of your imagery. You can talk about the human side of your business, so your staff profiles. It's really unlimited the amount you can do on the about page. It gives you a bit more license to tell the story without sort of pushing towards a sale or pushing towards a booking.
The millennials and the younger generations, they're not just purchasing a product, they want to purchase a product from a brand they trust and like. And this is where that about page is very important as well. We tend to find that older generation, they will be relying more on reviews, like holiday reviews, very official reviews, while younger demographics, they will also care about these reviews, but they will also care about what their peers think. So that's where testimonials and Google reviews in particular, they come into place. That's also why we like to introduce those on the website.
It's a really good point. It's because, wineries get a lot of awards. They've got, as you said, user generated content, Google reviews, and that stuff's gold for not just giving that human side and that social proof, but it's also great for your SEO. People are searching for reviews like this. And as you said, the consumers, they want that sort of confirmation that other people are enjoying the experience. Any chance you can filter those through the site, I would take it.
And having that brand personality as well. We want all the checks and balances in place in terms of the structure and how people find their way to their intent or purchasing wine, checking out the cellar door, but also understanding that you've got that brand personality and you're talking about yourself and you're clearly showing yourself as the winery and the wine brand you are throughout that website as well. What are a few common mistakes that we see people are making on websites, or some of those small fixes that can make a huge difference?
For me, one of the biggest things is site speed. So what I would typically do and when I'm auditing a site is running it through Speed Insights and figuring out what is dragging the site load time down, because every second you lose in load time, it really drastically decreases your conversion rate. So I look at, are there any massive images on there dragging the site down? Have you optimized your video? You might have an amazing drone shot, but if that's limiting customers' ability to buy wine, then maybe it's not worth it. So I look at site speed, how it's rendering on mobile, to make sure everything's not squished up and there's the ability for the customer to engage with the content, but also follow through the call to actions as well. We won't go too deep into SEO, but there are some really simple things you can check to make sure that your descriptions and your meta tags are all at least entered in there. And this is what filters through for Google. So if someone's searching for your brand, it has a little title tag and then little description, quick little fixes like that. You don't need to be an SEO expert for that. You can just have a look through each page and you can add at the very least a title and a description.
And make sure you have some important keywords in those meta fields. And by meta field, we just mean a short amount of text being put where it's meant to be put. So some of these meta fields are really important. So when anyone looks for your brand or keywords related to your brand, when you appear in the search page, those meta fields are going to pull through.
So I'd love to hear more from you guys around why should wineries care, and just some really high-level information around what they need to know and what improvements they could make today.
When you choose your keywords, make sure to use what we call long tail keywords. If you want to get visibility on the keyword that is just wine, every single winery is going to use the same keyword. So it's very competitive. So you want to find keywords that are a tiny bit less competitive. And the longer and the more precise these keywords are to your winery, the more you get chances of reaching that niche audience that is looking for your brand, and the more visibility you're going to get.
SEO is a bit of dark art, so we don't go too deep into it because it does become a little bit confusing. But I think step one, a really simple one, is just figuring out within your team, what are your main keywords? If you could distill it down to somewhere between 20 and 50 keywords, what are the keywords you're wanting customers to find? And then doing some very simple keyword research. You could use tools like Ubersuggest, which is a free tool. SEMrush, I think you can get a free trial on that. And just figuring out which of these keywords is getting the volume, and then how, as Laura said, how can you then evolve these into more long tail, more conversational type keywords?
And by keyword, we mean that it doesn't have to be just one word. A keyword can be 4 different words that would still considered a keyword. And you also want to make sure that the keywords that you found are not competitive, because obviously the more competitive they get, the least chances you have to get noticed or to appear on a search page.
So lots of these little things that can be done that aren't costing you any money. It's free tools, it's free ways for wineries to ensure that the health of their website and SEO is in check.
I would also say that SEO is a long-term action.
Play that investment you make in those early months make a really big difference down the track, because you're not paying for that traffic. There are other options as well. Like if you're finding that too competitive, then of course we do a lot with Google search, which is a paid version of people finding you on Google. And you don't need a huge budget to work with that either. You can still target those keywords that your competitors might be beating you in organic, where you can actually pay for them to get them above the search listings.
And that's the difference between what we call SEO and SEM. SEO is all organic. You don't pay for it. It's long-term efforts, as we said, and you're going to have to make sure that you publish regularly. You have new pages, new blog pages, making sure that all your keywords are in those blogs. And if you don't really have time to regularly publish, this is where paid media or SEM, aka getting paid to appear on top of the Google search result page, that's where it comes into place.
We're always looking at ourselves as an agency that wider, more cohesive digital strategy, which combines these organic efforts and our paid advertising as well. So, you're going to get the better results combining with paid advertising across multiple different channels. But that first step is having a look at your SEO and getting that in check, and then working out what you can then do to help elevate and expand on that with that extra targeting and that extra layer that you get from paid advertising.
When you build your website, you have to make sure that you have enough what we call internal linking, making sure that each of your pages has links referring to other areas of your website. It just means that Google can see that users have an easy customer journey. And the other thing that Google takes into account is backlinks, which can be very tricky. It's an easy mistake to make, because you'll see so many websites selling you backlinks. I would never recommend you go down that path, because that would be links that you buy, and Google will notice those links. It's like having bots.
And they'll penalize you for it.
So if you want a good backlink strategies, you get in touch with a really famous food blogger and they can write a piece for your blog, and then you do the same on their website. So it still has a link, but this way you get authority from other websites that have authority themselves. And that's why I wouldn't recommend paying for backlinks, because these links would have no authority.
It's that long-term play as well. Those quick fixes or trying to buy something that brings you in short-term traffic or short-term gains is not going to be a good result in the long term, because Google will understand and realize that that's what's happening, and you'll be penalized for that. So it's just looking at that kind of longer-term play and figuring out what you need to do to make sure that you benefit in the long run.
Another easy mistake to make is keyword stuffing, and Google hates that stuff.
It used to be a really handy tool, because you just stuff in all the keywords you want in see-through text. But they pick up on that. If you're writing a blog and saying, this is the best Shiraz under $20 100 times, then they're going to penalize that. Google's getting smarter. Google won't let you get away with any of the cheap tricks anymore. And there's a reason for that, because they want the consumer to find the relevant information, not be tricked into landing on a page.
Exactly. Building those foundations and authenticity, looking at it for that long play as well. And another key thing on the website is having that sign up or subscribe to your email function. That's certainly something that is absolutely key and should be front and center or visible, whether it's a pop-up or you've got users to your website. They're there having a look around. They're trying to understand more about the brand, or they're trying to look at visiting your cellar door. So definitely ensuring that you capture them while they're on your website is fantastic. So making sure you've got to subscribe to your email function right there, front and center, or in a couple of places on the website. So once you then get them to subscribe and provide the email address, what we then do is have them go into your email funnel or flow. We'd then hit them with a welcome email straight away. So these are automations that you can set up. They subscribe to your email list, and you've now got them as a data point or as a user that you can then continue to reach out to an email going forward. So having that set up on the site's one step if you don't already, and then making sure that you have those email automations in place. So as soon as they subscribe, instantly they're getting a welcome email into their inbox. And you can build that out as what we call like a welcome journey. So they might get that initial intro to the brand as kind of welcome email number one. And then a few days later, you can continue to build on that and give them more information around the cellar door, or continue to build out that brand story. And then because they're part of that marketing ecosystem, you can then continue to email them going forward with new sales and new offers or anything that you've got going, new content that you're putting forward. It's not necessarily about always just hitting them every week with a wine sale, but building that brand story and getting them really as a brand user and loving your wine and loving you as a winery and loving you as a brand is absolutely key. In addition to that, abandoned cart is another really easy email automation, and that should absolutely be set up for every winery, so that if they do reach that checkout but don't purchase for any reason on that day, they're going to receive that abandoned cart email into their inbox. And it might be that they've been too busy, they were looking on their phone, they got distracted with kids or work or whatever it is, and then the next day or later that night they have a look and in their inbox is an abandoned cart email, and they think, right, now I'm in that mindset and I've got that intent and I'm ready to buy that wine. So that's certainly something that is really easy as far as automations go. It's just easy ways to continue to ensure that you're getting those next steps or those potential sales from consumers. Set it up and continue to tweak it and make sure you're making changes to that as you go forward, but it's automated and running in the background for you.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the most important automations as well, because that customer is at the most warmest stage.
Exactly.
They've gone through, they've experienced the website, they've potentially read about the product, and then they've gone so far down the funnel that they've added to cart, they've initiated the checkout. So that last step, you really have to sort of nail that and make sure you close that sale, because you're going to leave your money on the table if you don't follow that up.
And also worth mentioning that not all systems easily integrate automated charts, especially abandoned cart flows. This is something Shopify and Klaviyo do very easily. You can put your own brand template into it, and you can input some bits of code so that instead of just saying, oh, you have forgot something on our shop, and just put any link to your shop, with Shopify and Klaviyo, you can have that bit of code that sends the customer directly to the product they have checked, with even the product image putting automatically through the email.
And what about a discount? Would you recommend a discount on that email? It's a bit of a contentious.
Yes, that's a very hot topic.
I think that's a great way that you can test and trial. So with emails, you can do A/B testing. So you can set up your automations and your flows. So 50% might get a discount, others don't. And then you can look at that data going forward and understand, all right, when we are offering a discount, are they going to more likely purchase? Are we offering free shipping? Once you've got them into that folder and you've got that data, you can look and understand what's happening and what the best result is for you as a winery. A few quick things that you can do today, or some really key things that you look at if you've only got a limited amount of time.
I would make sure that all the images or videos on your websites are optimized. As Kit mentioned beforehand, loading speed is very important. People's attention span is very limited, which means that if the page just takes a tiny bit more than, 1 or 2 seconds to load, you might just lose them. And especially if you pay for ads, for instance, on Google Ads to get these people to your website, is just money spent down the drain. So you want to make sure that your website supports that loading speed. And by having images that are not too big without compromising too much on quality, you hit that really sweet spot where you still have very nice, pretty images, decent quality, but also does not make your page too heavy to load.
Yeah, it's actually something I see quite a bit. You'll go through and run it through a speed testing site, and you'll see a lot of images have just been loaded straight from the photographer. So they're like super big,
Very big.
really high resolution. Just a really quick thing is going through and checking on each of your images and figuring out which ones could be potentially dragging the site down, and then downloading it, resizing it and chucking it back in is a good way to start.
And I think that comes back to that. What does that actually look like on mobile? And what is that mobile speed? Because we know that's where the consumers are.
And there's also something called alt tag. So whenever you load an image on any platform, you will have the image and then something called alt tag, which just stands for alternate tag, which is for people with disability. For instance, someone is blind, they can't see your image. They're going to have specific software that's going to read them the alt tag to describe the image. And this is also good if for some reason the page doesn't load, people can still see what the image is sort of talking about. And this is also great for SEO. So
it's just a small bit of descriptive text. Yeah. And also, Google is really invested in the accessibility of websites. So you're ensuring that everyone can view and hear and experience the site.
Exactly.
Is really important.
And the alt tag, as Kit mentioned, is, let's just say this is the image of me holding wine. You can just call the alt tag Laura drinking wine. If your page is about, I don't know, Shiraz, Cab Mellow, you can say Laura's drinking Shiraz, Cab Mellow, and making sure you input those keywords into those alt text tags.
Are you saying you think it's a Cab Mellow?
I was just going to say, is that leading into where your blend kind of vibe's going?
Honestly, I'm going into a Cab Mellow.
Oh no, I'm staying with Shiraz.
There's definitely that paper.
It's quite tannic as well.
I'm going McLaren.
I'm going to go McLaren Vale Shiraz 2023.
McLaren Shiraz. Straight or blend?
Maybe a tiny bit older. I'm going for blend. And you know what? I'm just going to put a 21 vintage on it.
Alrighty. And what are you blending with that, Kip?
It's a Shiraz from McLaren Vale. But there could be a blend.
I feel like I'm trying to lead you to the blend and no one's picking it up. But we're getting there, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I went for blend directly.
Do you know what it is? It's a Shiraz dominant blend.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
And what would you normally blend with Shiraz?
This might be where it's throwing you off, because this winery have themselves said this is sort of a slight rogue combination of grapes.
Shiraz Pinot? No, that's not real.
I'm staying with the Cab Mellow Shiraz blend. 21, Coonawarra or McLaren.
You got to pick one of those. McLaren Vale or Coonawarra.
Well, I did say McLaren first and then you copied me.
That's just because I saw Georgie.
I'm staying with McLaren.
I'm trying to say neutral over here, and Georgie behind the scenes is giving you all the intel.
Maybe just tell us who's the closest out of us.
Who's revealing, Georgie or am I?
I'll get the bottle,
Yes.
hide it behind my bag.
This is killing me.
You guys have done very well, I must say that.
Thank you.
Final answers. Give us what you've got.
I'm going to say it's a Shiraz blend from McLaren Vale, 2023, and it's blended with a Merlot.
Is it now?
I'm trying to think of something crazy.
I'm keeping what I said before.
Primo Estate.
Sangiovese.
Sangiovese.
You had 23. I had McLaren. We had Shiraz.
We are very close with that one. Well done.
I would not have picked up on the Sangiovese.
I think you guys have done very well. In their words, it is a bit of a rogue combination. You definitely got that pepper in there that they talk about, some plum, some spice, and then that Sangiovese adding a little bit of burst of cherry is what we've got here. So I think you guys did fantastic. I'm very jealous that I did not get to enjoy this, because it looks like you're enjoying it.
We'll
I was going to say, we didn't mention it, but it's delicious. Even at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning.
And when I saw it was a McLaren Vale Shiraz, I know that is definitely Kip's jam. So I knew that he would be keen on this even at 10 in the morning. So some additional website easy fixes that can be made. Kip's going to talk us through a little bit more about what we need to do there.
Yeah, and it sounds fairly basic, but like you really need to tell consumers what to do. It sounds a bit strange, but in every element of your site, you want to have some sort of call to action. Is it buy wine? Is it book now? Is it read more? Is it learn more? So it's just presenting that next step for the customer without them having to scroll around and look for what to do next. So I would say that's a really easy thing to do. Go through your whole website, look at every section and figure out, is there somewhere else to go from here? Is there an action for us to take?
What action do you want me to take on your website?
Yeah.
You don't have to have just one at the end of the page. You can have several throughout the page, especially if you have really long content or content that is image heavy. You want to make sure that you have more than one just in case you lose them. So I'd like to have minimum of two CTAs, especially if you have more than one scroll.
Taking that step back, when you look at your website, you know your website. You think it's really easy and makes sense and it flows really well, and they reach the homepage and they should know where to go next. And I know, Laura, you've got a bit of a tip around making sure that you've got that objective view when you do create a website.
I do have a great tip for that one. It's my mum. So anytime I build a website, I love to introduce it to my mum, because my mum doesn't know the website. She doesn't know the brand. She doesn't really have a website background. So she is your average customer. And also she has no filter, especially with me. So if she can't navigate something or she can't find what she's looking for, she will tell me. And this is just a great way to have someone who is external to the business, external to the whole website industry or the wine industry, and she would just provide me feedback. Because sometimes when you develop something or you design something, it makes sense to you, but it doesn't mean that it makes sense for anyone else. So I do like to have an external person available to give me feedback on that.
I think there's a misconception that the user testing has to be really expensive and laborsome process. One other really easy thing to do, and I don't see a lot of people doing it, is heat mapping your website. It sounds like a bit technical, but all it is downloading something like Hotjar and watching what your customers are actually doing. You can see exactly where they're clicking. Are they getting rage clicks on certain parts of the site?
It makes for interesting watching. And you just think, how are they stuck on this one piece? Or how is that making them so frustrated? Because when you've been on your website and you know exactly the steps, if they're then getting stuck at that point, that means multiple people are getting stuck at that point. You've already taken the efforts, you've got your SEO in check, you've driven them to your website, whether organically or through paid media. And so they're there. It's now, what can you do to keep them there, to make that end goal of ideally buying wine online or booking that cellar door visitation or subscribing to your email database, as I mentioned earlier. So it's just like they're there and they're ready to make steps on your website. So let's make it as easy as possible for them to do that. For those of you watching, you may recognize Laura. She has been hosting our Brunch Bites YouTube series, and she can run you through what she's been chatting about.
We mostly chat about available solutions for winery in terms of website, email marketing, and wine hub software, because obviously for many wineries out there, the wine clubs and making sure that members continue purchase, that you continue to attract members, is a very important part of your DTC side of the business. If you're interested as to what Shopify is, what Wine Hub is, or what Klaviyo is, and how they all work together, make sure to subscribe to Brunch Bites. We also have a great ebook available to download for free. And we'll include all those links in the show notes and video description.
So next step as Winery is to jump onto the show notes and download our Winery health checklist, your one pager that runs through everything we've talked about today, plus a few extra tips and tricks. Definitely download that, jump on, have a look, see what you're missing, see what your next steps are, and of course reach out to us here at Brunch. We are available at any time for a no obligation chat. We'd love to chat to new wineries. We want to understand what your pain points are, what's specific to you, how we can help. So reach out at any time through those links or our website or across socials, and we're always here to talk to you. All right. Well, thank you so much, Laura and Kip, for joining me today. I will cheers you with my cup here. You guys have something far more interesting going on over there.
Santé.
Looking forward to the next episode, which is talking through the 2025 top trends in wine.
Bing. Thanks, Kate.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Sorry. I just didn't know it. Sorry, start
It
again.
is 10 a.m. in the morning.
Get a glass of red in you. You'll be fine.